ask you about Ukraine,
Sure.
because you wrote an op-ed in the New York Times saying that you don't think it makes sense, the Biden pitch for aid to Ukraine. You've been accused of appeasement. You've been accused of surrender. Even the National Review had a column about that. And again, I'm going to get to Iran and Israel, which I know is a big pressing story. But I do want you to address that, because the National Review is basically saying that your solution to the problem of Russia invading a sovereign nation, Ukraine, is to just surrender. Are they wrong?
No, look, my solution to the problem is to rebuild our own country. The reason that we're in this position, Jake, is because we're stretched way too thin. We're stretched way too thin. And the number of weapon systems that we need, that Ukraine needs, that Taiwan needs, that Israel needs, and we can't do all of these things at once. So when you're stretched too thin, you've got to focus and you've got to rebuild your own country. Let's take just one of those weapon systems that we're talking about, 155 millimeter artillery shells. The Russians currently have a 5-to-1 advantage over the Ukrainians. The Israelis will need this stuff. The Taiwanese need this stuff. And of course, America needs this stuff. Can we possibly fight all of those conflicts at once? No, the math just doesn't make sense. So what we should be doing is, with Ukraine, encouraging them to take a defensive posture, not these disastrous counteroffensive the Biden administration has been promoting.
The counteroffensive is within Ukraine, though. The counteroffensive is within Ukraine. They're not seeking land from Russia. And in fact, just today...
I'm not passing judgment on the morality of what they're doing. Of course, it's their territory, Jake, but you have to acknowledge military reality on the ground. If they're going to waste a ton of money, a ton of lives, and a ton of ammunition on a counteroffensive strategy, but a defensive strategy might actually work, we've got to choose the strategy that might actually work.
The counteroffensive is within Ukrainian territory. Just today, Zelensky was suggesting that the strike by Iran on Israel should serve as a wake-up call in terms of this greater battle, and maybe you disagree with people who see it this way, between autocracies and democracies, Israel being a democracy, as is Ukraine, Iran and Russia being autocracies. What do you say to that?
Well, I think foreign policy is not a nursery rhyme, and it should serve as a wake-up call, but it should serve as a wake-up call that we have to rebuild our own industrial base. Let's take another